Welcome to the Shortwave Radio channel, and we're talking about the old radios and the radios that I've owned over time, and we'll go through even more recent radios. I want to kind of go through the radios that I have too. And so when I got the Realistic DX100 for shortwave, it was amazing. And I guess roughly at the same time, when you're a teenager and you're thinking about things that happened 40 years ago, your memory is a little rusty. I'm trying to figure out the Patrolman CB 60. I do believe arrived in 83 or 82, 83, sometime after the DX100. I think it did arrive after. And this radio comes in two versions, and I have both here. You've probably seen it maybe in some videos. So the one that I got was a Patrolman CB 60. And the other version that is in existence is the Patrolman CB SW 60. And the only difference is that on the CB 60, as you see here, it's 40 channels CB. On this SW 60, the CB band here is replaced with shortwave from, I believe, 6 to 18 megahertz. So I have both because I found a guy on eBay that sold the SW60 for like $30, and I thought, let's take it. Plus shipping, of course, it probably cost me like 50 or 60, but I thought, I want to have the little cousin. So this radio, what it changed for me, and it's very interesting because it has an history of doing several things. So first, what it did for me is understand more of what we could hear on the VHF UHF range. It was the first ever radio that I had that would go up to such a high frequency range too. I didn't have anything that would go to 400 megahertz, and now I had this. So it was kind of cool. It was kind of the, multiband radio that was probably the beginning of the world of scanning and the scanner radios that would eventually come. The manual, once again, was good enough to tell me that there are different services we hear on these bands, and that was nice because when I had the first multiband radio in 79, I had no idea what I was hearing. And I learned that I did hear the police, and I learned that it did hear the air band, the aircrafts, but that's pretty much it. The manual that came with this one was telling me, well, you have commercial companies. You have companies that use, communications like delivery trucks and stuff like that, which was new to me. It was like, oh, look, I can listen to all of that. And back in 82, 83, forget it. There was no trunking. There was no digital stuff. It was all analog. So it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot with this. I used it a lot. The funny story of this radio is that my mom had a kitchen radio for a long time. The radio we had in the kitchen was like an old radio. And it was not a tube radio, it was a transistor radio, but it was, very old, and one day it died. So I still remember my mom saying, well, I don't have a radio to listen to my favorite stations, and I said, well, take this radio. I didn't mind. I was like, just use this radio when you want to use it, and if I want to use it, I'll use it, and then I'll put it back to your favorite station. And for maybe a couple of years, in the mid-'80s, this was the main kitchen radio that tuned AM and FM stations that my mom was listening to. And it was mostly AM back then. She was listening to 1280 CGMS. She would listen to CK 730. So those were kind of the stations, CKVL 850. So it was mostly on the AM band for a couple of years. And, I kind of forgot about it. Maybe it was kind of there in the background. And when my mom got a little boombox, a Sony radio, it replaced this radio. So I took it back, and it came back in action. One of the main moments of this radio that I still remember. In July of 1987, we had a huge thunderstorm, something I've never seen before, and I've never seen after such bad weather. It lasted like an hour, and I mean, the city was flooded. It was crazy. I still remember seeing the really dark clouds. It was a very hot, humid day, and I was outside, and I could see the very dark black clouds coming on the west. And I remember taking out this radio because I knew that it had the Weather VHF channel from Weather Canada, and listening to that channel, and they were issuing warnings and saying that, you know, really bad weather was arriving. This is one of the highlights of this radio for a long time, and it also became my dad's radio for a while because when my mom moved out and he needed something to listen to radio, I left him this radio. I told him, look, use this radio. We'll be able to listen to your favorite stations. And so that was that. And for some reason, I don't remember when, I kind of was able to get it back. And I still have it today. Still works. It's a little scratchy in the pots. I need to maybe clean the potentiometers and so on. But it's not one of the best radios in the world. Once again, it's a radio that did a lot of things. But it made me listen to a world that I was not aware of. But to give you an idea of how difficult this receive is not good, 2 meters, and there was quite a few 2-meter repeaters in Montreal, and it has a hard time getting those. So it tells you that it's not super sensitive. But you know what? I didn't know anything about the radio back then. I didn't know how good it was. But I do know one thing. I had a lot of fun with it. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.